Hello and welcome back. My name's Kieron Seamons. This is my Inky World, and today we are drawing. Today we are trying to capture that moment of love. And it's a very difficult thing to do in illustration. It's a very difficult thing to capture that expression, that feeling of love. So, shall we give it a go? Let's draw. Well, okay, so we are back, and what we are trying to do is we are going to try and capture a moment of love. That is today's mission, and it's going to be quite a difficult one. I'm kind of a little bit nervous about this, because there's something there in the eyes when you're drawing. And I do feel like the smallest mistake can alter the expression. Can also make it kind of feel like they're thinking something else. So I do find drawing a loving moment or something very passionate like that is quite difficult. So today is a little bit of a challenge, because today in the Worry Lips story, Norman is going to meet the lady in the photo, the love of his life. So after all that time, he finally gets to meet Zoe. And Zoe is we've all had it. We've all had that girl who, for whatever reason, you just go nuts over. People say, oh, no, she's not the one, or whatever, but there's something just that makes your heart go zippity-zoo doo-dah, it goes. And that is, for Norman, that is Zoe. And in the story, Zoe is this tiny picture, and she appears quite heavily in book one, because she is what all this madness is about. In fact, if you see, even on the book cover, if you see right there on his pillow, can you see that? The picture on his pillow, between the ghost and between Norman, in between is Zoe. So that's what makes it kind of special. It makes it a little bit kind of nervous that now he's going to meet Zoe from the photo. Now, as everybody will know, that the people that you kind of went to school with, and there's that point where they all kind of grow up, and they don't become those cool people from school. They become a member of the public. They become your neighbor. They become the guy you pass in the park, They become people. And it's quite a worldly difference, from the people that you met at school and the people that you thought would be magical when they grow up and when they go off to do their things. And to be quite honest, with a lot of the people that I knew at school, especially the people that I thought would go off to be the amazing ones, they kind of did nothing. And I was always quite disappointed. And it's always nice when you do run into somebody who said, oh yeah, I do this, and you think, wow, what a wonderful life, you know. There used to be a guy in my class, and he used to be a writer, and everybody knew him as a writer, even back then, you know, when we were like 15 or something. He would come in with these exercise books and these kind of notebooks, and he'd have written a whole novel. And I really wish I had kept some of those kind of novels and moments, because they really were kind of like magical moments when you're a child. Because when you're a child, you can kind of do anything, you know. You literally can, you know, you can invent things, and it's only later on when the world kind of becomes, well, I can't really invent that because I wouldn't be able to have. But when you're younger, you have that magic in your eyes, you know. You have that magic. You can do absolutely anything. And when you grow up and you kind of see the world, you kind of get married and you do other silly things. You get married and you have kids and you take out mortgages and you buy cars, and you obviously all of that doesn't fit onto my life. My life was kind of a little bit more bizarre. I never learned to drive or anything like that. Oh my God, can you imagine me driving? And I always kind of thought, well, one day. Well, to be if we're going to be honest, I always said when I could afford an E-Type Jag, I would learn to drive. That was what I used to say to people. When I can afford an E-Type Jag, I'll learn to drive. It would have to be cherry red with wire spoked wheels and all that type of jazz. But so that's why I never learned to drive. I don't have an E-Type. I'm sure you can hear lots of ruffling, and Miro is fighting with his monkey at the moment. He has this teddy bear monkey that he's beating to death. So yeah, I never actually learned to drive. I was so obsessed with stories and at the time animation. Animation was my first kind of love, if you want to call it that. And so yeah, I never learned a lot of things because I was always obsessed with coming up with my next story and my next adventure and my next whatever. In fact, I never even learned to swim. Tut, 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 Mr. Seamons. Tut, tut, tut. But anyway, this is the moment that Norman meets the love of his life, and who has been the love of his life all this time. Even when the ghost comes and the ghost is tempting him with love and showing him affection, he still holds on to that little photo. And it's quite a magical part of the story, you know. I love that kind of unrequited love type of stories, and I love it in songs as well. I love a lot of those kind of Irish ballads that go on about the girl that broke his heart, the girl that got away, you know, they're always such magical songs. And it's always been that kind of very romantic, kind of magical love has always appealed to me. Probably why I'm such a soppy man. So the love has come to visit. And I'm not going to tell you too much because I know that you're going to go and buy that book. So I don't want to tell you too much and break your heart. But it's quite clear in Norman's stories that, you know, there is Zoe and there is Wonder Woman, and that's it. That's it for women, you know. He doesn't want anybody else. Not interested. And the chances of Wonder Woman coming to marry him, well, he doesn't feel like he's special enough for Wonder Woman. Surely a Wonder Woman would need a Wonder Man. Norman's just a little bit too simple. A little bit too easy. And Mr. Miro is sitting there looking at me, and I don't know what he's looking at me for. Is it because your teddy bear is here? Is it? Nope. I don't know what it is. Is it that ball? No. He won't tell me. He does that sometimes. He just kind of comes up behind me and just sits there and stares at me like, read my mind. Read my mind. Guess what's happened? Guess what happened? Go on, read my mind. So he's obviously lost a ball or something. It's gone under a sofa or something. He wants me to read his mind and pull it out. Now I've just changed my mind here. I want their hand. Their hands weren't linked. Their hands were kind of sitting next to each other. But I love that idea that their fingers are touching, just to add to that moment. And I think it will help. I think it will bring that extra touch of magic. And in Norman's life, everything is about magic. Everything is about that imagination. Everything is about dreams. Everything. And that's a beautiful part about Norman. It's a beautiful thing about his character. And I really enjoyed that. I really love that kind of magical element that Norman kind of believed in everything, you know. And as you read through the story, I hope you can really feel that from him. I hope you can feel that he's the type of person that's one in a million. That he's one of those type of people that if people didn't say anything about him loving Zoe, he probably would love Zoe forever. Only the other people that doubt it, only the other people that say, oh, don't be so silly. But for Norman, of course he'll love her forever. And even this magical thing about them meeting, of, I always kind of feel like Norman always knew it. Norman always felt that they would meet again. And he kept the photo, and the magic, even the magic of him keeping the photo, I thought was just magical, beautiful. This whole idea that he had met the girl of his dreams, and what else did he need? And I thought that was lovely. And I think it adds a lot to the story. It adds a lot of that kind of believability. And in this story, there is a lot of points in the story where there's a lot of things where you do kind of go, really? Is this supposed to be a true story? Is it? Would that happen? Could that happen? And I think with Norman's character, as you follow him through the story, I think it's quite beautiful that you get to a point. Sorry, I'm drawing all over the place here. I'm drawing his head. I'm drawing arms. Stay focused, man. I think that you will fall in love with the character of Norman, and you will want him to be successful. You will want him to find his love. And I think because we want him to, he has to. There's a little bit of hope there in his eyes. He's looking at her. Let me just soak that. I'm just sucking up a little bit of the ink has gone a little bit too far, especially on something as sensitive as the mouth. And I don't like the way that it's right on the junction of the lips, and it's just kind of bleeding a little bit too much, which I'll touch up later on. But there's something magical going on here in this moment. And I feel like the magic has really struck Norman at this point where all of those dreams have become a reality. And he starts to see hope. He starts to see something in his own belief. And I'm hoping that you will feel there's a change there in Norman. As he starts to get to that point, there's a small little tuft of confidence that comes into Norman's character, which again is just at the perfect time. And I don't think it would have worked earlier. But at this point, it works. At this point, it's vital that he gets that little bit of confidence. It's vital that he feels some kind of comeback on his affection. And I feel that really comes across here in this point. Now that she is sitting next to him, now that she's holding his hand, there's magic happening there. And I really feel that's coming across in the expression here between the two of them. Lovely. Very, very, very lovely. And I'm hoping also that all the people that have kind of followed this whole adventure through book one will start to see hope in this story, hope in this whole adventure. Whereas maybe when you were reading through book one, you're starting to think maybe this is too much of a dream. Maybe this is something that will never happen. Maybe this is blah, 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 you know. Whereas now, you can see it happening. You can see the love. Lovely. It's really, really quite a nice moment. You know, the original idea was that somehow I wanted Norman to meet Zoe and find their love in book one, but it just would not happen. It just, whatever I did, whatever I rewrote the story, it just pulled me in another direction. So it's actually really nice to feel this moment. I'm not going to tell you what happens between them, because we just met, you know, and there's a lot of things that could happen for the good or the bad. So, you know, especially when there's a lot of ghosts in between them, a lot of things that are happening in between them. As in any love story, you know, any love story, even if you watch it on in the cinema and you watch a love story, you're always kind of like thinking, will they stay together? Is this true love? Is this? There's all those questions. And that's exactly what we've got here. Will they stay together? Is this forever love? Well, you'll have to find out. See, I can hear Mr. Miro making his noise now, but I don't know what he's lost. What have you lost, Mr. Miro? That's them sitting on the bus together. What is it? What have you lost? What have you lost? Oh, go on then. Go on then. He had a ball that had fallen behind the door. And the door's got one of those springs, you know, it's like when you close the door and it goes boing, 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 boing. So if he touches it, it goes drrrr, and it scares him. So he doesn't want to go in there and get it on his own. So he has to wait for Big Daddy to come and go and get it for him. He's quite cute like that. That a big noisy spring scares him. So I hope you're still enjoying all these drawings. I would love to get some feedback to see if I should continue to draw worry lips for you, or I should do some demonstration things of something else. I don't want people to get bored of seeing every drawing is Norman and his ghosts. So please do let me know. I would love to. I would love to hear from you. So the second book has been really quite a pleasure to write, and I do find that book 2 has been much easier to write than book 1. I think in book 1 you're kind of like building a lot of the characters and building a lot of the situations, and then when book 2 is there, I think a lot of the characters are already kind of sending you in certain directions and putting you in certain situations. So I do find it, the kind of the situation is there. It does make things much easier. And one of the first questions was, will there be a book 3? I was like, what? I haven't released book 2 yet. Come on, give me a break, man. But you know, these days it really comes down to sales. If books sell and books are doing well, then yeah, why not? But you know, if books are not selling and there's no point going on to do book 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's no point. The only reason to do that type of thing is when you get a book that is making money. You know? That's the only time that you kind of want to make more money, want to make more books. So, if you like the story, tell all your friends and they'll go and buy a book. And then I'll be forced into writing book 3. Wouldn't that be nice? Well, I hope you're telling all your friends about book 1, you know. Let's get some good sales going on book 1. And then it'll force me into doing book 2 and 3. Well, book 2 is now in motion. The writing is pretty much done. There's a few things as I'm drawing, I'm starting to get some ideas. I'm starting to think, oh well, why didn't I do? Oh, they should have done. You know, it was inevitable, really. But I would love to do a book 3. So tell everybody about Worry Lips, the Ghost-tabulous experience. And I haven't got a title for book 2. That's the one thing I don't have. So, if you have a good idea, a cool, funky idea, then send me a message. What could book 2 be called? I've written down quite a few titles already. I do that as I'm working on the book. An idea will come up. In fact, one of the ideas for the title became a what's going on? Became the one of the chapter names. You'll have to find out. I'll tell you that later on. If you remind me, ask me which chapter was going to be the title of the book, and I'll tell you. I'm not going to tell you now because I'll give too much away, I think. And I love the idea of her wearing very kind of colourful, flowery dresses and stuff like that. It's always beautiful when girls dress up like that. Always nice to see. And I think she looks lovely. I think she really kind of fits the whole story, you know. I think it's just beautiful the way that it all kind of comes together here. And now there's going to be a couple of, that's the windows behind, so there's going to be a couple of people behind, but I'm not that keen on drawing them right now because there's so much wet ink on the table. There's so much wet ink already on that, and I think it might just be a little bit too dangerous to do. And I think it's beautiful. I'm really pleased with that. And I think we've captured love. What do you think? What do you think? Have we captured love? That's the important part of this part of the story, about capturing love. Have we? Lovely. What a very romantic picture, you know? It's just so lovely. I'm really pleased with that. It's such a beautiful, beautiful picture. So, please let me know what you feel about my romantic drawing tonight. I would love to know your thoughts about this romantic adventure. It is going to be a remarkable book, I can promise you that. And one that I'm extremely proud of myself that I wrote. One of those kind of stories that I never really thought that I would get around to doing, and I'm so pleased that we did it. So, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for sharing your time with me. And thank you for watching my beautiful, loving. I love the way they're just touching hands. So nice, so beautiful. So there we have it. There's obviously a lot of painting up to do on it. There's some more characters in the back there to draw, but it's too wet. But I've got the important part. And the important part for me here, the worry was to capture that kind of love in their eyes, that kind of magical moment. And I feel we did. I feel it's beautiful. I'm really pleased. So, thank you very much. It's getting quite late here at the moment. So, thank you very, very, very much for spending your time with me. I do appreciate it. I do love having you here, and I do love seeing your comments. So send me a comment. What did you think? 2 questions. What did you think of this loving meet? What did you feel? Do you feel the love there? Can you feel it in their drawing? And the second thing is, what do you think book 2 should be called? A lot of questions there. Got some homework to do. So I will see you very, very, very soon. I'll see you for another drawing, and have a fantastic night. Bye-bye.